there, Trekkers and Trekkies. Today we're going to start working on a new diorama. This diorama, it was kind of one of those things of I found a thing, and I was like, ooh, we should do something interesting with that. So what it is when I think it was the second Matrix movie came out, they did these dioramas that they were, you put the figures into all these positions, and I'll probably put a picture up of what this one looked like beforehand, but what I've got is the gutted remains, basically. And it was intended to look like that things were being blown apart and falling apart, and there was supposed to be this statue that was getting broken. But this is, like I said, it's from, I can't hold it straight, there we go, from the second Matrix movie. It's this grand staircase. I don't remember exactly, and you can already tell it's filthy. This thing is dirty as crap. So, and see, like the statue legs are already broken off from there. There's this cape piece is coming off. It's missing all of the stuff, the swords and stuff that are supposed to be up here. So let's switch to here. And I do not have a precise plan. Sorry, my microphone. Let's do that. Let's see if that works. Okay. It just looks like a really nice, like 1800s, like 19th century staircase. But because I don't have any of these swords and stuff that were supposed to be hanging on the wall, I am probably going to snap all of those off and fill in the little holes that are behind them, and probably like find a painting or something and hanging it up on the wall here. That of course will happen after I paint. Well, first is to clean. This thing needs to be cleaned so bad. And by the way, if you're curious to see how the scowl works, you can take Mr. Worf here and put him by the railing, or put him there, and you can kind of see that it generally sort of fits and works. I'm kind of thinking that what this will be is if I want to do any kind of well, for one, I've got the Sherlock Holmes figures that I made. I think this would look really good with those. But also, if I was to ever get around to doing like the Janeway in her little Victorian romance thing, that could make that this could sort of work for that. I don't know that I want to lose too many of the details that are in this, because there's actually some really cool features. And so I'm probably gonna try and mostly just clean this, patch it. This statue is definitely I'm gonna finish getting that foot detached, and probably just leave this pedestal here as like a decorative pedestal. Maybe I'll find a little something I can put there and paint it the cream color that everything else here is to match. But yeah, so that's the start. Next step is obviously to get this thing in the sink, or bathtub one. Thankfully we've got a big sink, so I might just be able to do that. And then I'll oh, okay, so on the back here it does have these little stopper bits here where those holes are, although I will need to put something on the back here, probably just a piece of tape, until I can put some Bondo in there. Oops, sorry. Sorry, just noticing something curious. On the back, there's a panel for just this particular square, and I was wondering if it popped out or something. How curious. If anybody knows why that's made that particular way, leave a comment. So anyways, yeah, once I put the Mondo on a lot of this, I'm probably going to have to repaint those areas, and so I'm going to have to try and find a good color white to match that. But I'm not particularly worried about it. I think it'll kind of work itself out as we go, and then we can have a staircase. You know, maybe once I get Riker and Troy and put it in there, made in there. Well, I've already got Riker in a dress uniform. I need to do Troy in her wedding gown, and we can do the formal photo shoot on the staircase. So, just showing you where we're going to start. Let's see where we go from there. All right. Okay, so as you can see, we have gotten the diorama all cleaned up. Removed the statue that was here because this piece actually slides out and you can get it cleaned a little bit. And I had to actually kind of sand the top of that because where the foot of that statue was glued on, it left some real bad residue. The one other thing I have done is that this was the little piece that was up there at the top. I have gotten a Sulu, a head from a Sulu, and I put it on there to where it looks kind of like a statue sitting on that shelf. And oh, my little dog has decided to come say hello. So that'll end up on that shelf up there. But it was also that I wanted to do a paint test and make sure that the paint that I was going to be doing would match up. And it looks pretty good to me. So, first thing I'm going to do, we're going to flip this over. Because on the back, there's a few places where these holes come through. I am going to take some of this painter's tape, if I can get it to come off. Here we go. And I'm going to put a little square of painter's tape over each of those little holes so that when I fill it from the other side, it won't leak through and just push through. So, let me work on that. Okay. Got all those covered up. You know, one thing that keeps bugging me about this is that there's this cutout panel on the back. And yeah, it lines up with a panel on the front. But I can't figure out what that panel is supposed to do. Anyways, so now I'm going to take, and you see there's all these little hooks and doodads where there was some swords and decorations or axes or something hanging. We're going to get rid of those because I don't have those anymore. And then we will fill in all the little holes. One second, I may have discovered something. No, okay. Okay, I see. Apparently where the hook parts were, I could just pull those out. Well, some of them. Okay. Let's get all that thrown away. Okay. Now then, obviously, there is some little bits still sticking up, and that's where the sanding block comes in hand. Actually, I'm going to take very carefully, get rid of okay, got rid of that. Being careful to avoid the shield, because I like the shield. The shield works, it can stay. All right. I think I want to take... So right here, this was actually a clear acrylic piece that stuck out and like went out at an angle, and I think it had Neo is where you'd hang him on it, so it looked like he was fighting somebody on the stairs. I just want to try and get that a little more flush. There we go. That's... Oh, wow. Wait a minute. That was dirt. I thought that was the acrylic tube broken off in there. That was dirt. So, we'll get that filled, just like we're going to fill these holes. Last thing before we fill the holes was there was this spot on the handrail where the cape from the statue was attached. I'm going to cut that off. Hey, that actually looks pretty good. Throw that away. Give that a sand. Man, that piece, actually, I might not need to do anything else. I don't think I'm going to need to paint it. I might. Let's see. It's a little. There, I think that's. Boy, if you didn't know that that was there, that actually hid really well. Okay, well, now let's fill in those holes on the back. Let me flip back over. And I got to make sure and leave the holes where the shelf sits open, but the rest of them will get filled in. This is just a little epoxy putty. Like these holes up here, they're going to get filled in. Just like that. That's all I'm going to do. On all of these is just fill in these holes here. Now I will have to give this a couple of hours to dry and harden, and then I'll come back over it. I'm actually this is one of the ones that need to be open. But I'll come back over it and give it a little sand. Actually, I might not need to doing this. Might actually get most of these. Pretty good. Okay. And then eventually I'll have to paint over these spots because there's a little bit of residue showing. Another one I need to do is actually that little spot right there, which there we go, got that. And then lastly is that big hole right there. Since I've actually got my little shaping tool. Okay. So, all the holes that need to be filled in are filled in. And see, this will get glued back onto there. I keep debating on whether or not I want to cut that base down a little bit. I don't know. But anyways, so I will, like I said, I'll sand it, and then we'll paint it. And all we're doing paint-wise is going to be touch-ups. Because I want to try and leave as much of this sort of cream color as we've got, because I like the look of the base. Get that where you can see it. And then we will add the final touches. Okay, everything is dry. I've given it a sand. It's pretty smooth. Like, you can barely even notice where the spots are. Got this apple barrel paint toasted marshmallow. This is what I was telling y'all about that I used on the statue there. That appears to be pretty close. It's a nice creamy color. We'll just come in hit each of these spots. Might have to do 2 coats because some of them, it looks like the paint's absorbing into the filler. Sorry, I started to call it tile grout, and my brain was just like, it's not tile grout, man. You're right, it's not tile grout. Similar. Epoxy filler. Okay, let me get this spot over here on the stairs. And last but not least, the spot here and the spot that I sanded right there. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to hit everything with a second coat, especially there where I sanded real hard. You probably can't see it. If I get it maybe a little closer, you see some of the where it's showing some dark gray underneath. I'll have to add a second coat there. But yeah, I'm going to finish up painting, and we're going to come back and I'm going to throw on a couple of pieces of decorations, and then we'll be ready to rock. Okay, and here we are. I have finished painting the wall, and I got a couple of decals that I made. That's a picture of Moriarty there and the Countess there that I photoshopped onto some picture frames. And so obviously we've got to have Professor Moriarty, and over here we've got Dr. Pulaski and Geordi as Holmes, as Watson, and then finally Data as Sherlock Holmes. And he's not wanting to stand. Geordi, give him a little. So, there it is. This is my little conversion of this diorama. I'm going to be sticking it over on my shelf so that I can see it every morning when I get up and be like, oh, it's Sherlock Holmes on Star Trek. I am going to be making the Captain Picard and Worf figures to go along with this set eventually, but haven't gotten around to that yet. So I've got these 4 now, plus the set to look really cool. And yes, I do have Data's hat and Jordy's hat. I made those as well. But they don't necessarily have to be wearing them all the time. So, I hope you have enjoyed this. As I have done this little conversion of this set, and keep watching. I've got more of things like this that I'm going to be doing, so feel free to come hang out, visit, take a look, get some ideas, share some ideas, and just thanks for being around, and I'll see you next time.
If you enjoy my videos and want to see more, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. Also, you can support the show by signing up on Patreon, or head over to Zazzle to pick up prints of my artwork, prints on canvas, t-shirts, and other merch. You can find me on social media. For more information and updates on the channel, all info is below. If you didn't enjoy the video, why are you still here? Do you want a song? Ba, ba, black sheep, have you any wool? Yes, them, 3 bags full. One for the master, who can screw himself. You can listen to somebody else.